Hello, welcome to Divided Nexus Pet Stories YouTube channel. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe, and enjoy the video.
This is the story of Luna and Amy's space adventures. The deep void of space is an unforgiving mistress, a silent ocean of freezing black dotted with the uncaring light of distant suns. Aboard the Astro Holloway, a scrappy but state-of-the-art vessel built from salvaged dreams and mortgaged futures, Commander Amy stares out the main viewport. She is a brilliant, rebellious astrophysicist who traded her earthly life for a one-way ticket to making history. The cabin around her is a chaotic symphony of exposed wiring, flashing monitors, and half-empty coffee pouches, a true testament to the NASA punk aesthetic that keeps this bucket of bolts flying. Hovering right by her shoulder is Luna, her ultimate co-pilot. Luna isn't just a pet. She is a fiercely loyal, long-haired brown chihuahua outfitted in a custom-fitted, high-tech pressurized zero-G suit. Tiny glowing blue thrusters hum softly on the dog's back, stabilizing her in the microgravity environment. Together, they are hurtling toward the dusty red surface of Mars, determined to shatter planetary boundaries and corporate glass ceilings by becoming the first woman and dog to claim the Martian frontier. The 34-million-mile journey has pushed them to the brink, but Amy's grip on the control yoke remains steadfast. But the dark abyss of deep space holds terrors far worse than mechanical failure or cosmic radiation. Hot on their glowing thrusters is the pride of the Rio Corp fleet, a massive, heavily funded star cruiser that cuts through the void like a predatory leviathan of obsidian and gold. Commanded by the ruthless Director Vance, the mega conglomerate intends to monopolize Mars and bleed its untapped mineral wealth dry. Vance sits in his pristine, ultra-modern command chair, a stark contrast to Amy's duct-taped cockpit, watching the tiny Astro Holloway on his tactical display. He sneers at the audacity of an independent explorer challenging a multi-trillion-dollar monopoly. Alarms blare suddenly within Amy's ship, painting the cramped cabin in a frantic crimson light. Proximity sensors scream as the massive Rio Corp cruiser closes the distance, its immense engines dwarfing the Astro Holloway's output. Amy grinds her teeth, her grease-smudged face bathed in the glow of the tactical monitors. She banks the ship, hard, aiming straight for a treacherous, uncharted asteroid field that looms ahead like a jagged cosmic minefield. It's a desperate gamble, but outrunning the corporate behemoth in open space is a mathematical impossibility. The Astro Holloway plunges into the swirling maelstrom of space debris, a chaotic dance of tumbling rocks and blinding solar flares. Amy's hands fly across the manual control boards, her eyes darting between trajectory projections and the viewport. She pulls a high G-turn, dodging a spinning asteroid the size of a city block, the ship's hull groaning under the immense stress. Luna barks sharply, her high-pitched warning cutting through the cacophony of failing stabilizers as she spots a cluster of smaller debris on the port side. Amy adjusts thrust just in time, sparks raining down from the ceiling as the ship scrapes past the jagged rocks. Behind them, the Rio Corp cruiser is too large to navigate the dense field with such agility. Unwilling to risk his pristine vessel, Director Vance orders the deployment of autonomous sabotage drones. Sleek, metallic arachnid-like machines detach from the cruiser's hull, igniting their thrusters and weaving nimbly through the asteroids. They lock onto the Astro Holloway's heat signature, their sole programming directive to cripple the independent vessel and leave its crew permanently adrift in the freezing void. A sickening thud echoes through the Astro Holloway as the first sabotage drone breaches the outer perimeter and magnetically latches onto the ship's port nacelle. Amy wrestles with the flight yoke, the ship suddenly listing violently to the right as the drone's lasers slice into the primary power couplings. System warnings flood the primary monitor, an avalanche of red text indicating critical failures in the propulsion and life support sectors. The ship spins wildly, narrowly missing a jagged asteroid that shears off their long-range communications array. The cabin temperature begins to plummet, breath turning to mist in the icy air. Amy curses under her breath, desperately rerouting power from secondary systems to keep the main thrusters burning. The drone has infiltrated the cramped inner bulkheads, a place too small for Amy to reach without dismantling the entire command console. Time is running out, and the Rio Corp cruiser is already calculating their projected trajectory out of the field, waiting to snatch them up. If they lose thrust now, they will become just another frozen tomb floating in the dark. Hope seems lost as the primary control board shorts out in a shower of brilliant blue sparks, leaving the cockpit in near total darkness save for the terrifying red emergency lights. Amy slumps back into her worn pilot's chair, the crushing weight of her massive debt, the relentless corporate pursuit, and the icy grip of space finally catching up to her. She looks at the picture taped to her dashboard, a crude drawing of her and Luna standing on Mars, a dream that is rapidly slipping away, but a sharp, confident bark snaps her out of her despair. Luna floats in front of her, her tiny paws pressing against Amy's helmet visor. The brave little Chihuahua points her snout toward the maintenance shaft access panel, barely larger than a ventilation duct. Utilizing her tiny size and the custom micro-thrusters on her zero-G suit, Luna indicates she is ready to go in. Amy realizes her best friend is their only chance. With trembling hands, she inputs the structural schematics into Luna's helmet display. It's a suicidal mission for a human, but for a fearless dog with high-tech gear, it's their last shot at survival. The maintenance shaft is a claustrophobic nightmare of sparking wires, jagged metal, and zero gravity. Luna expertly maneuvers through the cramped bulkheads, her tiny micro-thrusters firing in precise, tiny bursts of blue light to navigate the treacherous environment. The long-haired Chihuahua shows no fear, her big brown eyes focused entirely on the HUD projected inside her bubble helmet. She encounters the sabotage drone's disruptive beacon, a pulsating mechanical parasite attached to the primary wiring harness. Luna lets out a fierce growl, darting forward and using her suit's built-in manipulators to grab the frayed ends of the fried wiring. She dodges a secondary arc of electricity that scorches the bulkhead beside her. With practiced precision, she aligns the bypass circuits, just as Amy had trained her during their countless simulations back on Earth. The tiny dog's bravery is boundless, holding the live wires together as her suit systems weld the connection shut. Back in the cockpit, Amy holds her breath, watching the telemetry data on her wrist pad, praying for her furry co-pilot's safe return. A triumphant chime echoes through the cockpit as the main console lights up like a Christmas tree. Power surges back into the thrusters, and the life support systems hum back to life, flooding the cabin with precious, warm oxygen. Luna emerges from the maintenance shaft, letting out a joyful yip as she floats back to her co-pilot station. Amy lets out a breathless laugh, tears welling in her eyes as she reaches over to tap Luna's helmet affectionately. Their spirits are reignited, the bond of unbreakable friendship proving stronger than any corporate sabotage. But the celebration is cut short. The Astro Holloway bursts out of the asteroid field, the dust clearing to reveal a breathtaking, inspiring sight. Filling the main viewport is the crimson majesty of Mars, its dusty red atmosphere glowing like a beacon of hope against the black starry canvas. They have survived the gauntlet. The finish line is agonizingly close. Amy grips the controls with renewed underdog grit, pushing the engines to 120% capacity. They are going to make it. The triumph of seeing Mars is abruptly shattered by a massive shadow overtaking their ship. The Rio Corp Star Cruiser has flanked them, utilizing an experimental slipstream drive to bypass the asteroid field entirely. Director Vance's sneering voice crackles over the short-range comms, congratulating them on their valiant effort but declaring the race over. The cruiser's underbelly opens, revealing an array of heavy tractor beam emitters. A blinding beam of localized gravimetric force slams into the Astro Holloway, violently arresting its forward momentum. Amy is thrown against her restraints, her ship groaning as it is reeled in like a caught fish. Life support reserves are critically low, flashing a dire 2% on the dash. Vance demands immediate surrender, promising to tow them back to Earth safely in exchange for the rights to their navigational data and immediate forfeiture of their claim. Amy looks at Luna. The Chihuahua bares her teeth at the comms speaker, letting out a defiant bark. Surrender is not in their vocabulary. Amy disables the comms and prepares for the most dangerous maneuver of her life. The only way to break the tractor beam's localized gravity lock is to introduce an overwhelming counterforce. Amy angles the Astro Holloway directly toward the Martian surface, calculating a dangerously steep atmospheric entry trajectory. It's a move that defies every safety protocol ever written, risking complete incineration upon re-entry. She overcharges the repaired thrusters, the entire ship vibrating violently as the engines scream in protest. Luna braces herself against the co-pilot console, her suit locking into the magnetic crash webbing. With a primal yell, Amy fires the main engines while simultaneously blowing the explosive bolts on their heavy rear. Cargo hold, the sudden loss of mass, and the explosive thrust snap the tractor beam's hold. The Astro Holloway breaks free, hurtling like a meteor straight into the thick crimson atmosphere of Mars. Flames engulf the viewport as the heat shielding takes the brunt of the extreme friction. The Rio Corp cruiser, too massive to attempt such a reckless descent, is forced to break off, Vance watching in furious disbelief as the tiny ship vanishes into the fiery re-entry plasma. The violent shaking subsides as the Astro Holloway clears the upper atmosphere, deploying its massive, heavily patched drogue parachutes. The retro rockets fire in a massive cloud of red dust, and with a thunderous metal-groaning thud, the ship touches down on the virgin surface of Mars. Silence falls over the cabin, save for the gentle hiss of the cooling engines. Amy unbuckles her harness, her whole body shaking with adrenaline and exhaustion. She turns to Luna, who is already floating excitedly by the airlock, tail wagging furiously inside her spacesuit. They have done it. They beat the multi-trillion-dollar monopoly, survived the dark abyss, and secured their place in history. Amy initiates the airlock sequence, the heavy metal door dropping down to form a ramp onto the rust-colored soil. With her helmet secured, Amy steps out onto the dusty red surface, Luna bounding happily by her side, leaving the first set of human footprints and tiny paw prints on humanity's next frontier. A brilliant woman and her fearless chihuahua, etching their unbreakable bond into the ultimate history of the stars. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this story. If you did, make sure to like and subscribe for more content, and until next time, stay super.